Hi everybody, this is the fourth chapter, the fourth video, so welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about political risk and different economies, whether they're planned or not, that we are going to be looking at in class as well. And really what this does is look at the economy and the economic and political systems that countries utilize, and how this affects domestic companies and of course companies from other countries. So what you will see usually is with developed countries, you will see that usually they have low political and low legal constraints, and this allows companies to establish themselves from other countries into that particular country. So it's easier for you to do business in a more developed economy. If a country has more political risk, more economic risks, of course this can expose companies that come from different countries to much greater risk, to the point where they can lose their investments, right? So we're going to be taking a look at the three major economic political systems that we have in the world. And as the world becomes of course more interconnected, these different types of systems fluctuate, they change, they're shaped in different directions, and of course they're not always perfect, they're not always 100% true for a country. And these three major systems are communism, capitalism, and socialism. So we'll take a look at each of those individually and give you an idea of what important information you should know about these systems and which countries utilize some form of system. Okay, so the first one we're going to be looking at is the planned economy, and this is basically what communism is, or a command economy. And so this is where you have the opposite of capitalism, and you really have government owning the factors of production, whether they are equipment or plants or businesses. They are owned by the government. The government makes all of the decisions at the top level and really acts on behalf of people, of society in general. And the reasoning behind this is because of wanting to have a fair society, or an equal, everybody's equal, everybody gets the same thing. So in its contradiction of wanting to be fair, consumers are not really the priority when it comes to producing products and services, nor are private citizens owning businesses. Those are not priorities. Really what they do is plan 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, through factors of production. So all the investment, all the product decisions, pricing, how you're going to distribute it, how much people are going to be buying or receiving this, is pre-planned. So that takes a lot of the creativity and the innovation away from this type of economy, because really the objective is not to have a profit. They don't want citizens to profit, but really to provide the goods for everybody. Again, having that equality and that fairness in behind the thinking of this particular system. So really manufacturing will focus more on military and security and political issues. So it's really about protecting the country, and so that's really what manufacturing is all about. Customers, again, they don't choose what they get to what they receive. And there's no incentive for businesses to make any specific profits. So some examples of these particular countries are North Korea, Laos, Vietnam, Cuba, Libya, Iran. They're still operating under this particular type of economy. Okay, so the second type of economy and political system is called free market, which is capitalism, and you're used to it because you live in a country that is probably one of the most capitalist countries in the world. Now, when you have a free markets, of course, you have capital that is being owned by private citizens, and government takes a more passive role when it comes to producing things or setting regulations. So it doesn't mean that the government is not involved, but it means that they're taking a more passive role and allowing the free market to determine what products and what things are sold to the public. So really you have demand and supply determining what gets produced, what gets distributed, how it gets distributed, how it gets priced, and for whom, right? So it's kind of like the invisible hand of the market. And the interesting thing about the free market is that you have more business risk associated with this because of course you have private citizens that make their own decisions. You don't have government making decisions or planning those economies. Now you have a specific businesses that are making decisions about what to build, what to create, what to sell. And so there's a risk associated with losing an investment. Which makes it more interesting for people because there's more creativity, there's more innovation, and there are more opportunities to succeed, right? So there are different types of companies that can create products for businesses and for people. Of course, you have corporations, and corporations are owned by stockholders, and they get to plan again what they produce and how they produce it, how many of them, how to price it, and for whom these products and services will be for, who's their target. And they also have private owners who have businesses as well. One thing to keep in mind though for this particular class is that a lot of businesses, private businesses that are owned in many countries, in Brazil, for example, Mexico, the Middle East, you have family-owned businesses. So there's kind of a difference there when you're connecting with these businesses abroad and how you deal with them. But you can read more about it in the book, and I'll go over that in class about those differences. But again, I just want to emphasize that they do have more freedom on deciding the 4 P's: the product, the price, the place, and the promotion. And of course there's more competition, which makes this this particular system more effective because you're competing with other companies, which in turn allow you to want to make better products for people, want to innovate, want to lower your price and come up with something new, something better. So that gives that creativity, that freedom of creativity and taking risks. So some examples of countries that have some form of free market, of course, are the US, which is probably one of the biggest countries that have this type of system. The UK, you have Canada, you have Chile, you have Japan, you have Ireland, New Zealand. These are countries that really are more market oriented. Finally, we have a third type of system, which is the social democratic kind of hybrid system. And this model is, it still uses the free market principles when it comes to consumers and businesses, right? Providing those products and services that have a specific demand. But they're also, the government is also more involved in owning public utilities such as telecommunications, electricity, healthcare, and really they're more interested in social issues, healthcare issues. So they're more involved. The government tends to be more involved in those industries. Now, some examples of this particular system are Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, Denmark, those Nordic countries that are, tend to be more social. Doesn't mean they're socialist, but they're more social oriented.